Hello, you beautiful mother duckers. OpenDarkwing here. So I have a problem. Well, two problems actually. And I'd like to talk to you about this. Why? Well, maybe because you guys have the same problems. And the other part is I kind of want to explain what kind of goes on in my head and what happens to me when it comes to all this. For years now, I've been doing the laziest form of live streaming. I've just been clicking on go live, no plans, no nothing, and just kind of winging it. And once I was done, I would just click off and go about my day. And I would post the link to like my Discord and my Telegram groups. And that was it. That's all I would do. And this is bad for a few reasons. One, it was no effort, and therefore it burned in some really bad habits. And two, it only cost me the time that I was live, and you only get back a fraction of the time that you put into something. So let's rewind back to the beginning of, or the end, I should say, of 2020, when I switched from Twitch to YouTube. This was done in hopes, or with the plan, that my recorded content that I wanted to do and my live streaming content would all live in the same place. Well, the stream stayed, but the recorded content never actually came. I think in the beginning of 2022, I said the same thing, close to the same thing that I did my last video. I want to finally get around to making recorded content, but that never happened. I even still have scripts that I've written and clips that I compiled together, and it just never happened. So what happened? Well, that's where my two problems come in. I have a problem with having a big idea and then deleting it when I can't get it exactly the way I see it in my head. And my second problem is that I get so hyper-focused on the tools that I'm using to a point where I can't actually start creating because I'm too focused on the tools. And I get so tunneled in that I don't know what's what. So that leads me to this phrase: finished is better than perfect. Put up with what you have. Just take what you've got and let's get it out. The next video, I can change something and make it a little bit better. Someone once told me to go back and look at the first videos that your favorite creator put out and compare that to what they do today. And we can actually do that with me. As many of you know, I have a weekly podcast with my close friend Brian. Wonderberry.com, Wonderberry on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all that fun stuff. So now you all know. So let's look at where I was when we first started it. Quite a bit more. Almost a third more money-wise than I have been. And I think it's, or in some cases, double some of the weeks that it's been. So
nice.
Just starting a little earlier, and I think it's getting warmer, so more people are out. Oh man, was that bad. The video quality, the audio quality, everything alone. And what that did was it made me realize, you know, that's not something I would allow myself to put out now. Like if we recorded that today for the podcast, I would never let it go. But it just goes that sometimes getting something out is better than it being perfect. So the scripts and the clips that I have, I now can and have started putting those things together, knowing that I will just do better next video. And I can just do better next video. I can create better clips. I can write better scripts. I can do all these things better next time. And as long as I keep getting better next time, then I know that I'm on a trajectory of where I want to go. This concept has helped me more than anything else. While it's nice to have great production goals, if you are so focused on the perfect video, you won't put anything out. The only thing that's worse than a bad video is no video at all. And that's where I've been. So the answer to my second problem, well, I don't have a full answer yet. It's always been an issue with me. When I was programming all the time, I would get wrapped up in which IDE to use, which program to use, how do you configure it? And pro tip, there isn't a best. Even though I would spend days, weeks, or months trying to find it, trying to look at what are other people doing, who does it this way, who does it that way, and trying to emulate that. But every time I would find something else that was a little bit better in one way or a little bit better another way. The last video that I did, and this one by any means, I could probably put out on Windows Movie Maker. But I spent a lot of time and a lot of money learning Adobe Premiere. And I did this because I was so focused on that tool. And I realized with the amount of money that I put into it that I wasn't using it to its full extent. Yeah, there were other Adobe products that I was using occasionally here and there, but the amount of money that I was dumping into it, I wasn't actually producing anything because I was still too focused on the tools. So I ended up switching to DaVinci Resolve, which, once again, new tool. However, I decided when I switched this time, I would just focus on making the content side. And I started with the podcast and with the way I edit the podcast now. And then I just started adding on little bits here and there and a little bit of knowledge here and there. The temptation is there to just sit there and dwell on what can I do with this instead of just doing something with it and making it better next time. So I guess in a way, part two, or my second problem, falls under the exact same thing as my first problem. So that's where I'm at here. This is why I've struggled to get videos not just started, but released out. Every time I put something together, I tell myself, you're better than this, delete the whole thing and restart. But every time I did this, I lost a little bit more motivation. I lost a little bit more of that I want to put something good out because I never could get myself to say that it was good enough to release. I would tell myself that my skill level was too low. I didn't know what I was doing. And so then I would focus on the tool. I would blame the tool for my problems. I would change the tool, and then it would just recycle that. It would just reset that cycle back to the beginning. I didn't feel like I was good enough, didn't feel like I knew the tool well enough, and I just kept redoing that. Finished is better than perfect. So as I move on to more recorded stuff and less go live and figure it out, I'm trying to overcome these bad habits and mental roadblocks that I have spent years masterfully crafting and putting in my own way. And so I'm kind of looking forward to sharing this journey with everybody here. And I hope that maybe someone else that might be struggling with the same things can kind of look past the tools, look past the perfection, and just put the same content out there that you want to create and make it a little bit better next time. Quack, quack, mother duckers, like and subscribe. We'll see you guys all soon.